listen, President Trump has made it clear that nothing is more important to him, John, than getting all of our hostages home, our American hostages home, all the hostages. I can tell you it's something that he has been passionate about. If you go all the way back to his speech at the RNC last summer, he talked then about bringing the American hostages home. And he even sent Steve Witkoff out before he was even inaugurated to try and get this deal done, which we did. And we've seen wave after wave of hostages coming home. So I know that they are doing everything within their power, not only to support the state of Israel, but to demand for the release of these hostages. You know, ultimately, sadly, a lot of this is up to Hamas because they are holding these hostages. But President Trump has made it very clear. His words were there will be hell to pay if these hostages are not released. And I think he intends to follow up on that promise.
Well, these are the words, Morgan, great to have you on, the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu on Sunday over the weekend saying Israel's accepted President Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff's plan to extend the temporary ceasefire by 50 days. Half of the hostages would be released right away, and the remaining half would be released if we reach an agreement on a permanent ceasefire. Again, Israel has accepted this plan, he says. I accepted this plan, he says, but so far Hamas has rejected it. So where does that leave things, and where does this go next?
You know, we're still in the middle of a negotiation. Obviously, President Trump has made it clear throughout the world, and especially in the Middle East, that he's a president of peace. He's a president of diplomacy. He wants to bring needless wars and killing to an end. He wants to get the hostages home. But, you know, Hamas has to be willing to continue to negotiate. President Trump, as I said earlier, said there will be hell to pay if the hostages didn't come home. But he's also said that he's going to leave it up to Israel and that he's going to support the state of Israel. So we are trying to reach a diplomatic compromise here, a diplomatic solution. Nobody wants, of course, fighting and death to return. What we want is to get the hostages home. And that's why anybody who has influence here has to keep pressuring Hamas, because ultimately it's up to them. If Israel has to go back into the fighting, President Trump, he would said he would support them. But that's not our objective. Our objective is to get the hostages home.
So with phase one coming to an end, Israel said it's halted aid shipments into Gaza, something that likely would have drawn condemnation from the Biden administration. But here's the Trump administration response to it. Quote, Israel has negotiated in good faith since the beginning of this administration to ensure the release of hostages held captive by Hamas terrorists. We will support their decision on next steps, given Hamas has indicated it's no longer interested in a negotiated ceasefire. I mean, it really is a difference in tone and degree of support for Israel.
And absolutely. And as you saw over the weekend, Secretary of State Marco Rubio signed $4 billion of military assistance. That's in the form of munitions and weapons to Israel. You know, there was effectively a partial arms embargo in the Biden administration. Similar to what they did to Ukraine, they constantly made Bibi Netanyahu and his cabinet try to fight this war with one hand behind their back. I think it actually extended the length of all of these wars by only half supporting them. And so we have effectively in the Trump administration, the president, there has been no better partner for peace and no better partner for Israel than President Trump. Marco Rubio's step to declare an emergency as it relates to Israel aid to effectively get rid of that partial arms embargo from the Biden administration, $4 billion worth. So I think that sets a clear signal and a clear precedent that we're going to support our ally and friend in the state of Israel. We're going to respect their decisions on getting the hostages home, and we're going to give them the military equipment they need to ensure that Hamas doesn't govern. President Trump set a very clear red line. He said that Hamas could not govern in Gaza. The National Security Advisor Mike Waltz has reiterated this. Steve Witkoff has. Secretary Rubio. This is a united administration supporting Israel, supporting our hostages to come home, and also telling Hamas, you will not govern Gaza. You're responsible for American blood on your hands. The Biden administration really never made Hamas pay for the American blood on their hands and the American hostages. We're giving Israel the weapons that they need in order to finish the fight. God forbid if that's what it comes to. But we're hoping for peace.